Go. Today is Wednesday, September 15th. We're in Studio City, California. My name is Raman Fadi, and I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing Mr. William Shatner. Today is September 15th, 1999. This is tape one of an interview with Mr. William Shatner. Could you please give me your full name, including middle name?
William Shatner.
Did you have what your name was? That your name at birth? Did you have any nicknames? And when were you born?
March 22nd, 1931.
Your city and country of birth?
It's beginning to sound like an interrogation. Montreal, Canada.
Done. Tell me about your father. We're going to start with your early years, Joseph Shatner. Some of your early recollections of life in Montreal.
Well, my father was an immigrant from somewhere around Austria, Romania. Borders kept changing. He came over to Canada when he was 14 and worked as a paper boy and struggled and made enough money to eventually bring his whole family, which was extensive, over to Montreal. So eventually the Shatners, with an S-C-H-A-T-T-N-E-R, and somebody changed the name to the present spelling, and the whole family, 11 kids, my father's siblings, came to Montreal and began to make a living in Canada. About 19, 14, 15, 16, somewhere around there.
Was he the eldest sibling?
No, he was somewhere in between.
So he took on a role that is normally reserved for the eldest sibling, pulled himself up by his bootstraps and brought the whole family over.
Exactly.
What was his religion?
He's Jewish. He was Jewish. And they were quite
religious man.
They were quite religious people. In Canada, I was brought up as a conservative Jew, and that translates into America being kind of orthodox. I mean, kosher home and those kinds of things. Hebrew school, bar mitzvah. My father must have had the same thing.
Let's talk about your mother, Anna.
My mother's maiden name was Garmaze, and she was born in Canada, along with her brother and her brothers and her sister. And she, my grandfather on my mother's side was a fairly well-to-do man. I think they lost it in the Depression, but she was brought up fairly well-to-do and wanted for very little.
Do you have siblings?
I have two sisters, one older, one younger.
What was your relationship with them like?
I am 11 years older than my youngest sister, so she wasn't around for the formative period of my life. And then when she was old enough to talk to, I was a yearning teenager, so I didn't know her too well when I was young. But my older sister and I were very, very good, very friendly, and she and I have been very close, as I am close with my younger sister now, but not so much then.
Were there any other important family members in your life, grandparents, aunts, uncles, people who figured prominently as mentors in any way?
I had, my father's parents were dead by the time I was conscious. And my mother's parents were alive and influential at a very early age, in that we would go see them on Sundays. Sunday was kind of a family day. My father would make the tour around his sisters and brothers and my mother's father and mother, and it would be kind of familial on Sundays. Strangely enough, having just said that, I have done the same thing in my own life, and I realize now why. That was ingrained in me, that family got together every week.
What was the language spoken in your house? Was
Yeah,
it
well, English.
English?
Yeah.
So it wasn't French Canadian or
Well,
Quebecois? Was there any French spoken at all?
There is a during the years I was brought up, there was quite a distinction. The English were here, the French were there, but I lived in a kind of marginal area, so that many of my young friends were French, and so I spoke French on the streets somewhat easily, as I spoke English in the house. Both my parents spoke French. My mother, because being Canadian, she was taught it in schools, and my father, being a businessman, had learned it as a necessity. And I learned it just as by osmosis on the streets of Montreal.
You grew up at 4419 Gerard Street? Gerard Street?
Gerard, yeah.
Gerard Street. Any special memories of neighborhood activities, boyhood friends that may have
well,
been
we moved from Gerard. There was one young guy, Lonnie Pearson, I think his name was, 4 or 5. We found either a $5 or a $10 bill in an empty field once, and so we split it by tearing it down the middle. It didn't work out. It was my first realization of money as a joke, and it wasn't. I wasn't too aware in that first 3 or 4 years of life, but as we moved to a nearby area called Marcel Avenue, then the kids on Marcel and I formed a group, a gang, and we played together. And they were French and English and boys and girls, and we played games in the streets.
In one of the biographies I read, they depict you as a rather mischievous boy who took a woodworking set to a dining room table. Is that story something you'd like to recount?
Well, as I remember it, my parents bought me a hammer and a saw, and I was going to make some stuff, and they had a dining room table that I think was pretty new, so I used the saw on the legs, and I cut the legs in half, but all 4 legs, and the table remained upright until one day it didn't.
At which point your father gave you...
Yeah, must have been very angry, as I can only imagine. Times were tough, and I had just destroyed a dining room table.